Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Mikel Arteta thinks World Cup break will really help Arsenal star Fabio Vieira. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta believes the World Cup break will be really good for Fabio Vieira, who struggled against Brighton and Hove Albion last night. The Gunners suffered just their third defeat on the season yesterday. Vieira started in Martin Odegaard's number 10 role, but it wasn't his best display by any means. Charles Watts, who was at the Emirates, described his first half display as an absolute howler. Arteta, however, isn't worried at all. Vieira joined Arsenal from Porto for £34 million in the summer. He came in with a foot injury, which cost him almost the entire preseason, but he has shown his quality in flashes since he was declared fit. However, the 22-year-old is still adapting to the English game. He seems a bit lightweight at times, and although his technical ability is absolutely incredible, he has struggled to cope with the intensity on occasion. Arteta was asked about the young Portuguese midfielder yesterday, and the Arsenal boss played down any worries. He believes that the World Cup break from next week could act as a mini preseason for Vieira, and that could really help him settle in. The Gunners boss said, as per Arsenal.com, I think in front of goal he's been a little bit unlucky because the last two games he could have scored a few goals. Every new player needs time to adapt and to play. We have asked him to play in different positions as well because of the needs we have in the squad. I am not worried at all. He missed a big part because he came and he was injured for 2.5 months, so he's missed a whole preseason, and I think that period now in the World Cup break is going to make him very good. It will be interesting to see how Vieira will fare in the second half of the campaign. If he can explode into life, he could help Arsenal go and achieve something really special this season. Mikel Arteta insists Karl Hein deserved to start in Arsenal defeat. Mikel Arteta has insisted that Karl Hein deserved to start for Arsenal in their Carabao Cup tie with Brighton, and he claimed that we would be ready to pick him again despite his poor display, in comments reported by Football London. The Gunners were knocked out of the competition at the Emirates. Arsenal took the lead through Edin Ketia. However, Brighton were able to turn the game around and win 3-1, and Hein will be disappointed for at least two of the goals. The Estonia international was making his debut for Arsenal against the Siglas. Unfortunately, he gave away a penalty, and he seemed to be slow off his line for the visitors' third goal of the night. The 20-year-old will be extremely frustrated with his showing given that it was his debut. However, Arteta has insisted that he continues to have the utmost faith in the youngster despite his difficult night. Arteta went on to say, I think he deserves the chance. He is the first goalie of the national team, and at his age that's not usual. He totally deserved his chance, he said, as reported by Football London. If I have to play him tomorrow again, I would. You get experience when you play football matches, and if you not get and if not you never get the experience, but Karl already has that. Errors are part of football. It is now going to be difficult for Hein to get back into the side. Obviously, Aaron Ramsdale is the clear first choice after an amazing start to life at the Emirates. Meanwhile, Matt Turner is a very good backup, and with that, Hein needs to take the opportunities that come his way unless he is going to leave on loan. With Arsenal now out of the Carabao Cup, it may be a quiet spell ahead of the youngster. Perhaps the FA Cup will present further opportunities in the months ahead. But Hein will unfortunately be left kicking himself that he did not make the most of his chance. Clearly, however, Arteta sees Hein bouncing back and silencing his doubters in the future at the Emirates. Arteta says Arsenal didn't take their chances and Brighton were more efficient. Arsenal fans can't deny that we had reservations about our chances of progressing in the League Cup after we saw Mikel Arteta's confirmed team last night. Obviously, the most important thing is to win at Wolves on Saturday to make sure we stay top of the league during the World Cup break, but it would have been good to go into it still in every competition. But Arteta clearly thinks that Arsenal should have put the game to bed after going 1-0 up, and he thinks our backup players did their best except for putting the ball in the net. The boss told Arsenal.com, the view is that the result doesn't reflect actually what happened on the pitch. I think it's clear but there are two things on the pitch. Those are the boxes. They were much more efficient than us, and that made the whole difference because in the moment that we were clearly on top of the game, when we had the chances to get away with the game, we conceded the goal, and that changed the game. Losing is disappointing, but the way the boys tried and played, and the amount of changes that we had to make because of the congestion, and we have to protect the players and give them chances. I am really happy with that, but obviously, we wanted to continue in the competition, and unfortunately, we are out. The only regret is that the backup players now can't get some extra games after our long break. Ian Wright now thinks William Saliba is already an elite player. Arsenal know they are one win away from going into the World Cup break top of the Premier League. Few Gunner fans would have backed their side to start the season as well as this. Speaking on Wright's house, Ian Wright was praising a number of Arsenal's young stars. Wright was impressed with Gabriel Martinelli, whose recent form has earned him a call-up to the Brazil squad. However, Wright wanted to highlight centre-back William Saliba, who he believes is already an elite player. Saliba was incredible against Chelsea, keeping Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Armando Broja quiet. His Arsenal teammates were also very impressed with his performance, and he is going from strength to strength at the Emirates right now. Speaking on his podcast, Wright wanted to highlight just how quick Saliba has settled in North London. He went on to say, "You look at someone like Saliba, and we are now 13 games in. When you consider that, and his first season in the Premier League after coming back from 3 years on loan, and people can only point at one thing when Roberto Firmino made that nice move against him, you have to say, we are dealing with real elitism here." Saliba's Arsenal career has been up and down to say the least. The 6 months he spent playing for Arsenal's under-21s could have spelled the end of his time at Arsenal. However, Saliba is now one of the first names on Mikel Arteta's team sheet and has become an elite player. There is a growing feeling at the Emirates that Saliba will sign a new contract and extend his time at Arsenal. It would be a brilliant piece of business if they can guarantee Saliba's long-term future will be in North London. Pundit furious after Arsenal star Gabriel Martinelli gets called up to Brazil's World Cup squad. Brazilian football pundit Neto is not a happy man after Arsenal star Gabriel Martinelli was called up to his country's World Cup squad earlier this week. The pundit even went on to claim that nobody knows who he is while talking about Martinelli before claiming that Flamengo's Gabriel Barbosa, aka Gabigol, was much more worthy of a place in the side. Speaking on Os Donos da Bola, Neto said, as quoted by ESPN, "This is a shame, a joke, feel ashamed, not because of Dani Alves' story. What is Martinelli's story? 33 career goals, this is a shame. A lack of respect for football. Doing this with football shows that you don't deserve the position you are in. Calling up Martinelli and not calling up Gabigol is heresy. A lack of respect. The biggest shame of all the call-ups. Calling up Martinelli show that you, Tite, shouldn't hold the position you do because you are not fair to Gabigol. The guy, Martinelli, who scores 5 goals in the season, who walks around the mall here, nobody knows who he is. And not taking Gabigol, the guy who scored the goal of the Libertadores title, who scored 29 goals in the season. That seems a bit too harsh, doesn't it? Martinelli definitely doesn't have the goal return that Gabigol does, but one is playing for the team at the top of the Premier League, while the other plays in the Brazilian top flight, which is incomparable to the best league in the world. The £6 million Arsenal man has been magnificent so far this season. He may have only scored 5 goals, but he is one of the biggest reasons why the Gunners are where they are in the league table. We don't know about Neto, but we feel Martinelli completely deserves his opportunity. Fabrizio Romano insists that Arsenal undecided on its January plans for impressive youngster. Fabrizio Romano has claimed that Arsenal are unsure whether to allow Marquinhos to leave on loan in January, having impressed in training since joining last summer. The young Brazilian has already made an impact in the Europa League, earning a goal and an assist in his debut against Bodo Glimt, but his first team opportunities have remained slim thus far. With all of Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, Reis Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe, Fabio Vieira and Edin Ketia seemingly ahead of him in the pecking order for minutes, you would believe that alone would make sense especially with the EL moving into the important stages and with less and less rotation likely to be implemented in other competitions. But Fabrizio insists that we still haven't decided on our plan for the 19-year-old. With regards to a possible loan in January, Arsenal have not decided on Marquinhos yet, Romano revealed in his exclusive column at Count Offside. I think it's normal to discuss new winger and not to consider Marquinhos ready yet, as he is super young. He just spent a few months in England and so he needs to adapt, improve, and then become an important part of the first team in the future. For sure, they are really happy with Marquinhos and his approach in training. Marquinhos looks like another gem we look forward to seeing more from in the near future, and I think it would be ideal to allow him to leave on loan. If he is already training hard and improving a lot in training, then it could, however, make sense to let him stay at the club and continue as things are, but he would usually prioritize first team football to bridge the gap on the first team. Arsenal star Ben White looks set to benefit from Chelsea injury with World Cup place. Arsenal defender Ben White could reportedly be set to benefit from Reece James' injury and get a place in England's World Cup squad today. White has shown for the Gunners in an unfamiliar role at right back this season, and it now looks like that will give him a boost as he could replace James in Gareth Southgate's squad today, according to the Telegraph. It will be interesting to see if this does end up being accurate, but there is surely few who would argue against White deserving his chance with the national team in Qatar this winter. The report adds that James Maddison looks likely to miss out on an England place, while the likes of Tammy Abraham and Ivan Toney are described as having an anxious wait to find out if they will go to Qatar. Arsenal fans can be proud if White does make the England squad, where fellow Gunners stars Bukayo Saka and Aaron Ramsdale will also be involved. With James out injured, one imagines it will be Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold who gets that starting spot at the World Cup, though Kieran Trippier could also be seen as a good option. While you are watching the news now, Southgate might have already announced the 25-man squad. Arsenal targeting French international Marcus Thuram to provide competition in attack. Arsenal are targeting Borussia Mönchengladbach forward Marcus Thuram to provide competition in attack. With Arsenal being knocked out of the Carabao Cup at home to Brighton on Wednesday night, Mikel Arteta may be looking to improve his squad depth moving forward. The likes of Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka have been performing exceptionally out wide for Arsenal, but more competition in attack will be necessary for Arteta to take his side to the next level. One player they are now considering making a move for is Mönchengladbach winger Thuram, according to Milan Live. However, the report claims that Aston Villa and AC Milan are also in the race, so it won't be straightforward for Arsenal to get their man. Milan and Aston Villa are likely to be able to offer Thuram more regular game time, with Martinelli and Saka undroppable for Arsenal at the moment. Thuram's contract expires at the end of the season, so he could be available on the chip in January, with the German club potentially forced into offloading him to avoid him leaving on a free transfer in the summer. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.